Chapter 4 Grimm's. When I was 12, I went to a sleepover. We did the usual pizza party, movie, games, and failed at putting on makeup. It was a lot of fun. Except when at midnight, the birthday girl pulled out a Ouija board. I had been warned by my aunt to never play with Ouija boards, magic, or other things of an otherworldly nature. Yet this seemed harmless, just another game. Besides, my aunt was weird and old. What did she know about a girl trying to fit in and have fun? The Ouija board had seemed like a letdown. The girls at the party were all convinced the birthday girl was cheating by moving the planchette herself. An argument broke out, and soon enough we were sent to bed by the birthday girl's mom. However, there was a lasting after effect. 3 months later, I saw my first Grimm. Over the years, that's what I have nicknamed them, Grimms. He was waiting at the corner of a busy street in Autumn Heights. I was walking home from school and saw a dark, shadowy figure in a robe following Mr. Tuttle, one of the teachers at the school. I had never particularly liked Mr. Tuttle. However, I couldn't really understand why no one else seemed to be weirded out by this guy in a Grim Reaper costume standing near the teacher. The next day, I heard Mr. Tuttle had died of a heart attack. Even then, I didn't really make the connection. It took years of seeing Grimms to understand that no one else could see them. It really came to me in high school when I was working part-time as an aide at the local nursing home. They would come, hovering over one of the residents, waiting for them to die. It wasn't the best experience for a 16-year-old girl. The only good news was the Grimms never seemed to see me. Which is why the one at the cemetery during the dress rehearsal for the cemetery tour had creeped me out so badly. Never had a Grimm looked directly at me before, nor had one of them shown up after a body was dead. They always preceded death in my limited experience. This one had seemed to lead me directly to a body, as if it wanted me to find it. I fell to my knees beside the person who was lying face down. Reaching forward, I put 2 fingers to the side of the neck, searching for any signs of life. There was no pulse. The body was cool to the touch, possibly because it was unprotected in the storm. Swallowing thickly, I summoned up my courage and tried to roll the person over. It was difficult. The person was very limp. The grass was long and in the way, plus the ground inclined towards the river. The last thing I wanted to do was accidentally have this person fall into the river and be swept along in the current. Lightning split the sky, electrifying the air and bathing the world in light before plunging it back into darkness. In that moment of illumination, I saw that it was a man lying on the ground. I didn't recognize him. However, it wasn't like I knew each and every resident of Autumn Heights. Pulling my phone out of my purse, I quickly typed in the passcode before calling 911. After a few moments of speaking to the dispatcher, the ambulance and police had been notified of the situation and were on their way. Putting the phone back in my purse so it wouldn't get lost, I tried to do compressions as I had been taught during the last first aid class I took. The wind picked up, the rain poured down, and a clap of thunder pounded in my ears. I don't know how long it was before emergency services arrived. It seemed like forever, yet at the same time also so soon. A paramedic took over the CPR. The other EMT had me move back as they assessed the person. I watched as they went through their routine, their conversation making me believe there was little hope this man would make it. I shivered, wet and cold. Finally, the man was lifted onto a backboard, and the ambulance attendants began to slog through the knee-length grass. Since the vehicle could not go down the steep side of the road onto the riverbed, we had to make our way back to the road and bridge. I could see the lights of police cruisers as they arrived on the scene. The ambulance loaded the man into the back of the vehicle. Before leaving, a paramedic wrapped a foil blanket around my shivering shoulders. I was soaked through as I watched the other EMT talk quietly to a police officer. The cop nodded, and the paramedics got into the ambulance before driving away.
Ms. Violet Resotter? Another officer approached, pulling out a notebook. My name is Officer Pesky. I have a few questions to ask you.
I nodded and pulled the silver blanket closer around me. It crinkled in protest. I had gone to school with Wendell Pesky and was well aware of who he was, even as he butchered pronouncing my last name, Resoudre. It was his own self-importance that had him announcing his name and position, I thought wryly. We had even been on student council together, so there was little reason for him to pretend he wasn't certain of my identity.
You were the one who called emergency services, correct?
Asked Pesky. Yes, I agreed. Pesky wrote something down, then eyed my outfit.
What on earth are you wearing?
I realized I probably looked odd out in the middle of the night in an old and outdated wedding dress. Oh, this? We were doing a dress rehearsal for the local acting group. The cemetery tour is next weekend, and dress rehearsals were tonight.
In this weather?
There was a note of disbelief in Pesky's voice as his pencil hovered over his notebook. It wasn't raining yet? I tried to explain. You can ask Reverend Parsons. He was there. The pencil scraped against the paper as Pesky made an irritated noise.
Why did you say over the phone that it wasn't Joan?
Excuse me? I tried to think of what he was talking about. Honestly, the whole evening since finding the body was a bit of a blur. I supposed it might be the shock.
You said to the 911 operator that, and I quote, "It's not Joan,"
he repeated.
What did you mean by that?
Thank you for listening. Did you know that you can find out what's upcoming and what the new releases are by signing up for my newsletter? If you go to josephinebeintema.com, there's a little pop-up, and you just put it in your name, and it's totally free. You just sign up, and you'll find out if there's bonuses, contests, promotions with other free books from other authors, who my favorite authors of the week are, any new releases that I'm going on, and, just a little general chit-chat from myself. So if you'd like to sign up, I would love to have you as a subscriber. Take care and happy listening.